Okay, Rizwan, so your topic is code review in testing view. Code review? You're a tester. You do code review.
Yes.
You gonna take over a programmer's job? No? Alright, okay. Let's see what he has in store for us, alright?
Okay, I'm starting just from my slide straightforward because there is a time constraint. So, welcome to my topic, code review in testing view. Starting with a code from a test architect, Rizwanur Rashid. According to him, testing guys can perform some unit testing, code review, code analysis tasks, and they can be more focused on test activities by doing so. I also do agree with Mr. Rollison, but I also do believe that testing guys will not only pinpoint some silly bugs like this, what this image is showing. Rather, they can perform, they can do some better, during code review. Usually, the code review task is performed by some senior roles in development side, like team leads or project managers who know the business logics better. During code review, testing guys can identify some code blocks earlier stage of the development, which may cause some runtime exception, or which may increase the execution time, or they can contribute on database reviews also. Let me go through some examples so that you can connect with my ideas properly. In my first example, these are from my daily life activities actually. In my first example, you can see that this is typical code which will read the entire content of a text file. The problem is in this code, the highlighted line, where due to this line, the content will be, whenever the content will be read out, it will read skipping the first line of the code. So definitely this is a logical, you can say functional flaw which we have addressed earlier. So this is one of the advantage of code review. In my next example, this is a where we have a database connection, SQL Server connection. We have just opened it, but see, there is no connection closing block in this code block. So this may cause a runtime exception whenever the concurrent access required to that particular table. So during code review, I have addressed this thing, and this was my expectation, and this was my suggestion after the code review. There should be a closing block. In my next example, you can see that this is a typical try-catch block. Developer guy used to write this sort of coding, where we are throwing a exception, but from a parent function we are calling a child function. But from the child function we are throwing an exception, but from in parent function there is no catch block. So during code review, I have suggested something like this, so that the runtime exception does not occur during execution. This is not like a bug, this is more my preference or suggestion that we should have the null checking on a variable, because sometimes error may occur due to perform some operations on null valued variables. So it is always better to have some null checking on a variable. The example is showing here, we are checking some null value in a string variable. So forget about the code now. Let's move to the database review something, starting with the database objects convention review. This is something like that. Database objects means table, views, stored procedure, and covering all sort of things. So testing guy can review some table naming conventions or the variable declaration conventions. If there is nothing documented, you can identify something. For example, in a database, the table name are starting with a TBL prefix. So one or two tables are missed out. So we can report those things so that we can ensure the consistency in the naming conventions. The next example, where all user information are storing in a user table. In left side is a table where username is the column and maximum allowed is 10 characters. But the user store procedure we are using to storing the user information is the variable is with 8 characters. So though user allowed to write down the username with 10 characters, but they will never find the username with 10 characters ever, because the inlet portion is truncating less than 2 characters of the username. So this is also a problem we have identified during code review. We can identify. These are also depending on the requirements. Usually we know that, for example, using index always first make the faster the selection process, so we can use that select operation. So this was not my saying that we need programmers as tester. My earlier example will show that we don't require the in-depth knowledge of programming to perform those sort of things. So with basic knowledge we can do this type of code review. Obviously you should distribute the code review tasks accordingly. The persons who are more confident enough to play with codes, you can assign those persons to play with code. And these are from my perception, these are the advantages for code review. Okay, during question answer I will cover. Thank you.
It was a great talk, right? Sorry I had to cut you off there. But I gave you 30 seconds. Oh, that was? Okay. All right. It's an interesting thing. And while you were going through that, I noticed that at the very end you said that you don't really need to know too much programming knowledge to do code review, and that was weird to me. You know, I felt really, you know, it was really weird that you don't need to be a very good programmer to be a code review. The thing is, you started off with a slide showing that, you know, there was a semicolon bug, and you're saying that that was a trivial issue. But the code review problems that you showed, yes, I agree with you on that, that for those kind of things, the try-catch and all those kind of things, you really don't need to have a very good programming knowledge. But aren't those trivial bugs too?
Actually, my topic is targeting the code blocks. You know, if we see some blocks, like I have given example, try-catch or SQL connection error, this may, definitely this will create some runtime error. Okay, and I am not letting the developer get out of the code review task. Okay, I'm not saying that they will not perform this job. They'll definitely do, because otherwise the business requirements properly implemented or not, and the in-depth code review required. Testing guy additionally can perform these sort of jobs, that before going to the execution phase, we can identify some silly bugs, which may even we can identify some cosmetic issues also. I'm not saying about untrivial bugs here. I'm saying some trivial bugs which are very exposed in the coding. You can identify easily from the coding.
Questions? There's another mic.
Thank you. So the matter is you are writing test cases. Not test cases, you are actually reviewing tests. I am not completely agree with you. The first thing is nowadays most of the company are following pair programming. Pair programming comes, this type of silly mistake will happen, I believe. And I believe that code reviewing is not a task for a tester or for a QA, because every company has a senior software engineer or a team lead perform that task. So I actually what I want to say, whatever you have told is a task for a lead software engineer or a senior software engineer. Why are you thinking that a QA guy will do this thing?
Yeah, because whenever we are going to the execution phase, you know, regression, we are doing, for example, we are a regression, we are performing the regression testing. We obviously find out some this sort of runtime bugs. No, whenever we go to the database, we can see there is naming inconsistency in the table or the variable declaration. Sometimes, yes, definitely. In my recent experience, I have picked a bug where I am inserting the description with 200 characters, but procedure is allowing to insert 190 characters. So why these bugs are coming? Because there are still some firms or some organizations out there who are not practicing pair programming. They can start practice code review for testers. Okay, but I don't like tester term, testing guys.
I agree with you. Suppose there is no pair programming, but there should be a guy who is reviewing the code as a developer. Do you think that if a senior software engineer or a team lead is available to code review, a tester need to test it?
Yes, you know, during rush moment, whenever you are doing the code review as a project manager or team lead, you don't have so much time to look after that where is the try-catch block is working, how the connectivity is working. Your concern is obviously to the business requirement implementation, how the implementation has been done. Is it a proper output is appearing here or not? You usually target to that focus. Your focus usually to that particular side. I think from a project manager perception, if I think.
I just want to interrupt. I just want to clarify one thing. Actually, the main idea behind this concept, I just need to add one or two issues with this one. Actually, the main problem in current software industry that we are trying to highlight that the testing guys are fully separated from the coding side. All the basic idea that we are developing from 10 years back that, okay, testing guy, you should not have some knowledge of programming or you should perform some black box testing only. So that is a problem that we are limited on a certain scale or we have not able to scale up ourselves. The community is in under a below line. So the thing that if we want to break, and for that reason, we picked up that, okay, why not the developer is already performing the code review in their perspective. Even on that code review, we are finding some critical bugs by performing some black box testing on a delayed portion of the release cycle. So that is the reason a testing guy's view, we are impacting on the code review section in the earlier stages of the release cycle. So might be we have a definite guideline, and that guideline should not collide or should not overlap with the developer, senior developer. I am not claiming myself as the role of a senior developer who is reviewing the code. He should do his job, and it's the one duty of my QA is to implement that process that, okay, senior developer is performing the code review successfully. But as a testing person, a tester's view is always different from a developer view. Even you argue with me for thousands of years, I will say that because many of time I heard developers saying that, okay, developers actually understand bugs very well. They can catch bugs early. But that is the point. I am just going to finish actually. So the point.
I'll do it again.
Yeah. Just give me 30 seconds. I am just going to explain that the code review and testing view is actually hitting, or we are trying to hit on that mentality of the software community that no, now it's time for the tester to scale up and they can take this duty and they can earlier some critical bugs in very early stage. Rather hunting in black box level, suddenly I got a bug, rather methodical and trying to find out some critical bugs earlier.
In this case, I agree with you. That means this is the third level of code reviewing.
Yeah, what you call it, second level, third level, anything, but we want to perform these jobs. That's my point actually.
Okay, that's good.
Very simple, for a few seconds. I thought you were the speaker. No, I would not write down on this side. So actually what I was trying to say, like, as he asked actually, there is no tester or developer or coder or anything. So we are working for the same software. So there's the main thing. So the QA guy doesn't mean he will test. So it doesn't mean that he has to do just manually looking through the features and finding out the bugs. It doesn't mean that. So he can find the quality relevant things. Even he can find the architectural problem as well. So my current boss actually, he used to be a senior QA. So he used to find architectural bug as well. It happens. So yeah.
Did you set it up? It's fine. Okay, just one last question here. Is that what is the background of the person who does this kind of review? What kind of skills does he need?
Yes, I have already answered that in my slide. That the examples I have shown already doesn't require in-depth knowledge on programming language. Yes, No. Why? Because during okay, let me. CS graduation, definitely we have read about try-catch, how try-catch is working, how throw statement is working. So why do you need a programming background? You already know about that. Yes, we do little programming in graduation level also.
Okay, I'll take his word for that. Okay. Well, you can ask your question to the next speaker because he seems interested too.